Epistemic Myopia by Faisalbury. Today's Dawn Opinion, 12th June 2020. Let's start. A couple of months ago, when COVID 19 cases had just started to surface as a significant threat to Pakistan, my timeline on Twitter or Facebook used to have many people asking if anyone had a relative or friend who had had the disease, or who was currently suffering from it, or who had died after contracting the virus. Pakistan's COVID 19 numbers were small at that time, but many countries were already facing the full fury of the pandemic. China was still in the thick of trying to manage the first wave. Some of the European countries were going through a very tough period, and Iran was also going through a high speed, high daily mortality phase. The news from these countries through mainstream and social media was quite readily available and was being shared on social media by Pakistanis too. But there were also plenty of people, perhaps a majority, who were still asking if people knew of anyone who had COVID 19. There were also people who were arguing that we should not have as many problems as people in other, especially European countries, because A. Our population is younger. B. Asian constitutions are different. C. We have higher immunity level due to living in the more dangerous environment, and or D. Our summers are much warmer. Today, even and though we are still in the middle of the first wave, my timeline on social media platforms is filled with news about people who have tested positive and about many who have lost a loved one to the virus, with almost 120,000 confirmed cases and over 2,300 deaths at the time of writing. Recent polls have been quoted that show and that there are plenty of Pakistanis who still think COVID 19 is not a serious problem and that fears about it have been exaggerated. Why? Why people do even today think that the threat of COVID 19 is exaggerated? Diversity of beliefs is a fact in humans. We have different values, goals, and views of the world. We have different backgrounds, information. Hence, the diversity in beliefs is understandable in certain areas at least, but when there is plenty of scientific and empirical evidence available on an issue, to continue to believe the contrary is a problem that needs explanation. When we knew what was happening in the world around us and knew thousands of Pakistan were dying in countries as diverse as Spain, Italy, China, and Iran, how could we hold on the belief that the virus would not be as destructive to Pakistanis? Why did it take for someone in people's social circles to die or fall sick for them to believe in gravity of the threat that the virus posed? Why do people even today think that the threat of COVID 19 is exaggerated? The world has already lost 400,000 plus people. Millions are sick. Why do we need for a neighbor, friend, and or relative to fall sick and die to know that the virus is dangerous? Diversity of beliefs, even when some fly in the face of evidence and fact, might still not be issue. Might still not be an issue. There are some people who believe even today that the earth is flat. So be it. If they want to continue to believe this, despite all the evidence and excess of relevance, except excess of relevant information, there is not much that we can do about it. In this case, their beliefs are not likely to cause harm to others. There are no externalities for others. But in the case of believing that COVID 19 is not a threat or that it is a hoax, there can be consequences for others. If a person believes that the COVID 19 threat is exaggerated and goes around without a mask and does not keep physical distance from others, he or she can fall sick. This will likely be a burden on the health system. But more importantly, the virus might spread due to careless behavior as well. This causes harm to others. This problem This becomes problematic. Your beliefs are now causing harm to me, and I have to have a way of stopping this. Clearly, the state and community have a role to play here. The community has a role as it has an interest in ensuring the negative externality from one person's behavior does not impact others. If a person goes around without a mask and or without maintaining a distance from others, the latter are at risk, and it would be appropriate for the community through peer pressure and threats of ostracism to ensure compliance with best practices, even if the community cannot have any impact on the belief that a person might hold or continue to hold. The state has the backing of the law. It has the mandate to look after the interest of every citizen. It has every right in such cases of significant negative externalities for others to create laws and SOPs that demand compliance and that can punish deviance. In our case, the bigger tragedy has been that the state has been non decisive for too long and has dithered. And this dithering has cost us and is costing us in terms of a higher rate of spread and rapidly increasing number of the infected. Why people need a relative to be infected or to die from the virus to believe it is dangerous, or why they continue to hold beliefs that fly in the face of science and empirical evidence is beyond the scope of this article. There is literature on epistemic vices that might explain some of this, but if such beliefs harm others, as they are doing in this case, the state has a role to play. It has to protect citizens from the negative effects of another citizen's action. Our state has failed to do its duty on this count, and it is not just a debate about whether there should have been a lockdown or not. Whatever the choice made, by not introducing clear SOPs in time and by not ensuring compliance, the state has failed and is failing the majority of its citizens. The writer is a senior research fellow at the Institute of Development and Economic Alternatives and an associate professor of economics at LUMS. Published in Dawn, June 12th, 2020. Please like and subscribe to be updated daily. Thank you.